Fellas, the Sunday Scaries, they start to kick in the evening. They carry over into Monday morning, and we have to kick off with a big-name dud, and that is Joe Mixon with 6.8 fantasy points in a game where the Bengals offense got going in the right direction against the New York Jets. They were up 2 scores pretty much the entire second half, but a letdown for Mixon.
Yeah, in a game like that where everybody's getting a little bit of piece of the pie, you want to see the running back, get some piece of that pie. But instead, it was the backup running back, Samaje Perine. He vultured away the touchdown. Mixon was not efficient on his runs, but he hasn't been in this season up until this point. So there should be some concern. The good thing about it is he should still get that volume. But we also had to worry about why he left the game late in the third quarter. So we got that hanging over our head as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is concerning because this is the version of the Bengals that we've been waiting to see. They were aggressive through the air. They were able to hit big plays downfield. Joe Burrow was finally clicking with his receivers, and that was part of the allure of Mixon in drafts, is that he's going to be part of this explosive Bengals attack. He's going to be able to get in the end zone. But he's been so inefficient this year, only 2 yards per carry in this game. I guess one silver lining here, he did have 7 targets, and that's been a very bullish part of his fantasy profile this year. More than we thought. He's been involved in the receiving game. So that at least a positive sign.
Yeah, we saw it in a winning effort. Burrow willing to spread the ball around to all 3 of the wide receivers. And it's not that it phased Mixon out. They still gave him the ball, but just not a huge production day. Speaking of that, in a wild win for the Minnesota Vikings, Justin Jefferson under 5 fantasy points, a rare occurrence, but this is back-to-back weeks now. Justin Jefferson has been limited. And let's hear from him on the double teams that he is now seeing from the opposition.
Yes, you double and even triple teamed on some plays all day. How do you navigate that? In the end, it works out and other guys get opportunities.
Yeah, for sure. It's frustrating for sure. But, I asked for it. Just playing the way I've been playing, just being the type of player that I am. Those double teams and triple teams are going to come. But that's the luxury of having Adam and KJ on the other side. Even J. Reg over here. So, our receiver core is deep. Even when they want to double team me, I know somebody's going to be open. So that's the luxury of it.
Jefferson clearly happy with the win for the Vikings. The good news, fellas, and no surprise, he played 100% of the offensive snaps. Justin Jefferson is the offense with or without the ball in Minnesota. The bad news is back-to-back weeks with less than 50 receiving yards, 0 touchdowns, a rare occurrence since he's been in the league. Lawrence, where's your, I don't want to call it panic meter at, but concern level with Justin Jefferson?
Yeah, not too concerned at this point. They wanted to get the win. They needed to get the win, and they got that. The other receivers were able to be productive. So 2 weeks in a row, it's okay. They ran the ball well. That helped them get the win. And I like Justin Jefferson's answer. He said his answer. He said, I'm the big dog. I know these double and triple teams is going to come, and I'm ready for it. So he will bounce back, and I like that he threw Jalen Reagor's name in there too.
Yeah, even for really good receivers, elite receivers, you're going to see some inconsistent production. One thing to note here is that Justin Jefferson did draw a defensive pass interference in the end zone. He also, I think, is correct that he's drawing a ton of coverage, and it is opening up other guys in the offense. KJ Osborne was able to hit consecutive 28-yard receptions, 1 for the game-winning touchdown. So seeing that, maybe a defense is going forward, they devote a little bit less attention to Jefferson, and he can feast even if he's getting double and triple teams because he's that good.
Yeah, I agree. And with Kevin O'Connell calling the shots in Minnesota, I think you have a little belief that they'll find creative ways to get Jefferson the ball, whether it's flexed inside in the slot or outside. Kirk Cousins needs Justin Jefferson to be himself. All right, moving on, Tirico Hill coming off a monster week 2. Not even comes back down to earth in week 3, but 5.3 fantasy points in PPR format. Still 22% target share in week 3, but the production just wasn't there. And a shocking win for the Dolphins where it seemed like a lot of odd factors were in play in that Miami Heat.
The biggest odd factor is the fact that the Dolphins only ran 39 plays.
Yep.
Right, so this is why
Bills had the ball the whole game.
Right.
Yeah.
It's crazy, and this is why you won't worry about Tirico Hill either. It was just that type of game. The Miami defense stepped up, whereas to week 2, their offense stepped up. Jalen Waddle caught the big pass that pushed him over 100 yards. So even Tirico Hill mentioned it in an interview. He was like, 3 targets, 3 catches, this whatever. We'll bounce back. And he said he owes Eli Apple on Thursday, so we got to be ready for that too.
All right.
Yeah, he only had 4 targets in this game, That was still good for a 22% target share because, the Dolphins only threw 18 times from Tua. Teddy Bridgewater also had 2 attempts. So, yeah, just no volume here. I don't think there's anything to be concerned about.
I like that point from both of you. It's not just that his targets were down, and they were. It's the fact that the targets around the entire offense were down. So Tyreek Hill was just a part of that in a really, really strange game where the Bills almost had 500 yards of offense and still lost. All right, looking at the Raiders, man, they are the only 0-3 team in football right now. Darren Waller, a part of that suffering right now, only 5.2 fantasy points in week 3. He's now played under 75% of the offensive snaps in consecutive weeks, fellas. Is there some concern here with Waller's usage?
Yeah, so you don't love that, especially when you're an elite tight end. If he would have had like some bad stats here or there, but he was playing 90% of the snaps, that's cool. We could deal with that. But the under 75% for a top-tier tight end, you kind of worry about that, and you think, well, is this going to be the type of offense where it's going to be a Hunter Renfrow week and then a Darren Waller week? From Waller, you want that consistently. You're still obviously going to start him, but just be wary of that.
Yeah, I think this is concerning. Tight end is so tough because, it's not like wide receiver where if you're starting wide receiver, you're basically going to be out there pretty much the whole time. You're going to have a chance to earn targets. At tight end, sometimes the guys aren't getting on the field as much as we like. It's more similar to running back in some ways. And in this game, you had Foster Moreau filling in a lot for Darren Waller, running some of those slot routes.
Where they had to throw in this game.
Yeah. This is a situation where you would have expected Darren Waller to step up and have a good game. You had a career day from Mac Hollins, so to not have Darren Waller even be on the field for a full-time role here is definitely concerning because this is a new coaching staff. They may be signaling what they plan to be doing going forward.
Yeah, the Raiders defense allowing the Titans to basically score at will on those first couple of possessions. This is a game where you really think you're firing up Darren Waller for a big target day that just didn't lead to a lot of production. All right, keeping the concern factor going. Guys, this one when we came out of Sunday was my biggest one because if you look at the box score, it's somehow gone from bad to even worse in week 3 for DJ Moore on the Panthers. Let's call it what it is. He's not had more than 3 receptions in a game this season, 2.5 points in week 3. This is a surefire 1,000-plus yard receiver that can't get anything going right now, clearly because of the quarterback situation in Carolina.
Right, and we always talk about DJ Moore being consistent with his 4 touchdowns every year, right? This year, every game, he done had 6 targets. Those are the type of targets you like to see from your number 2 or your number 3 passing option. This is scary. If this happened again, we might have to come to the show next time dressed in all black. Because if Baker Mayfield is completing less than 50% of his passes on the daily, which is what he did, you do not love that for your top receiver that you probably drafted in the 3rd or 4th round.
Yeah, if we were redrafting today, does DJ Moore go in the single-digit rounds?
I don't think so.
No.
Yeah,
That's how bad the offense looks.
It's been horrible. Baker Mayfield ranks 28th among quarterbacks in EPA per play. Pretty strong efficiency metric that just shows you when you're ranked behind Joe Flacco, that's not good for the offense. For DJ Moore especially, I think Christian McCaffrey, who has had at least back-to-back 100-yard days on the ground, can get there, and hopefully we'll see some more work through the passing game. But this is not a passing offense that we want pieces of.
And he's out there, played 60 of 61 offensive snaps. Obviously, a receiver making $20 million a year with the production he's had, that's going to be the case. But no production so far this season. All right, Alvin Kamara, he's been dealing with some injuries this season. The Saints offense did not have a fun day once again, besides Cris Olave. Kamara played in less than 70% of the snaps week 3. It is clear that they are kind of watching his work total here with him dealing with some rep management on the injury front. Lawrence, what are we thinking with Kamara right now? This has been one of the more consistent running backs in fantasy because of the pass catching, and now the work total is just not there.
Yeah, this is another one. You could be concerned for him, not as much as Joe Mixon, but like you said, he's coming off the injury with the ribs. They're trying to monitor what they got going on, and the whole offense just didn't look good, So I give Kamara a little bit more time to get right, and we'll see what it is. Because, especially where you drafted him, hell, you gotta have some faith. You got to.
Even if it's a prayer. What do you think, Pat?
7 targets in this game, so that I think is going to be the key here because his rushing efficiency fell off last year. He got a lot more work as a rusher last year. That's not really what we want. The 15 carries here, great. Let's get 7 targets. Let's get him, producing more as the receiver, which is what has led to him being a fantasy superstar. And maybe with these wide receiver injuries, we do get that a little bit more going forward.
All right, we are back on the Allen Robinson roller coaster this week again. Week 1, the man was missing. Week 2, we had the bounce back. Week 3, back under 5 points, wide receiver 73. Dating back to last season, fellas, Robinson is averaging 7.3 points in PPR format now over the last 15 games. That, when you put it in that perspective, I think the expectations are going to be very, very underwhelming now with Robinson's stat line.
Yeah, we need to bring out the cold emoji for that one right there, because it's definitely going to be a roller coaster, and I feel like that's just how it's going to be. On a day where Cooper Kupp wasn't crazy, where he didn't go off in the receiving game, you think like, okay, Allen Robinson, he going to do something. Nah, like everybody else, here, Cooper Kupp run the ball. This got me feeling like Odell got a chance to come back now. You know what I'm saying?
Be a factor, yeah.
Man. So he's not you got to think about benching him sometimes now. Like, coming into the season, you were feeling like he could be a wide receiver 2. He's nothing close to that right now. It's scary to have him in there in the lineup right now.
He does have a role in the red zone, but he is very touchdown dependent. And, I think you can think of him as kind of a poor man's Adam Thielen. I think you can think of him as sort of almost like a tight end type of play where you're really hoping that he scores a touchdown, and he is going to get some targets in that area, but just nothing outside of that right now.
Do you guys think he's moved into almost desperation flex territory at this point, or do you trust him a little more?
Because if I'm feeling like you got to think about benching him, that's a desperation flex. You know what I'm saying? It's like, he's good. Like you said, when you get in the red zone, there's a chance. They love to throw in the red zone, but it's like, you going to be sweating that out all game? I'm good, baby.
Plus, Cooper Kupp's there too. They're going to be looking for him in the red zone, so it's not even like there's that much touchdown upside. I do think he's a desperation flex.
All right, last one on our duds list for today. Kyler Murray, no touchdowns scored passing or throwing in Week 3 against those Rams. He's now had less than 25 fantasy points in 8 of his last 10 games. So a guy that was kind of viewed in a lot of drafts as a potential superstar because of the hot start last season. I wouldn't say he's falling off a cliff, but he's not even close to that upper tier quarterbacks.
Yeah, you definitely expected him to be with the Jalen Hurts and Lamars and Mahomes and Herberts and all those guys, but they're just not scoring any points. And when I'm watching this offense play every week, I'm thinking like, I bet they can't wait to have DeAndre Hopkins back. Like, I feel like that's what you need to just get it going. Like, Hollywood Brown had himself a day, his best day as a Cardinal so far. But it's like you need that true alpha number 1 receiver to really get going. But hopefully he could get it going sooner than that, because Hopkins still out for a little bit.
Yeah, Kyler Murray 2 spots behind Carson Wentz in EPA per play, 2 spots ahead of Mitch Trubisky. Not where
it's a weird range for Kyler Murray to be.
Yeah.
Right now.
If you mention Mitchell Trubisky,
we got a problem.
we got to think about something.
We're hitting the code red button.
We still have elite upside with the rushing as we saw last week, so no need to panic here. But I think please keep forcing targets to Marquise Brown for as long as Hopkins is out, because that at least does create some passing production for fantasy purposes.
He had him on a deep ball too. They didn't connect, so that was some points missed there too.
And the Greg Dortch show of 2022 rolls on, fellas. Don't sleep on Dortch.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBC Sports and RotoWorld.com. Just want to thank you so much for watching what you just watched, or at least being too lazy to click out of it after the autoplay just kept it going. So either way, thank you so much for just letting it scroll by your screen. And now I'd like to ask you respectfully, please subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel for the latest NFL news, fantasy headlines from RotoWorld, and betting analysis from NBC Sports Edge.